Good morning. So today I figured I would do a little cooking and baking with me, sort of day in the kitchen, if you will. It is about 10 o'clock and I have coffee. I didn't film making it today because I filmed making it like all the other times. But yeah, I figured this could be like my baking, you know, quarantine baking, I guess, for the week. But also, I haven't quite decided what I'm gonna make for dinner tonight. I'm kind of in between a couple of things, but I'm going to make dinner. So either way, you know, kind of come along with and see what I get up to. So we're gonna start with a cinnamon roll croissant loaf. So this is called easy swirled cinnamon sugar croissant loaf. All right, so let's do it. This is from the blog Half Baked Harvest. If you want the recipe, I will put it in the link in the description box below. This is gonna take like hours though, so why not? Let's do it. Okay, so it's been just over an hour and I floured my surface and I'm bringing my dough out. I'm gonna roll it out to about the length and width of this, which is probably like not quite what they want, but I'll figure it out. She said she wants like 12 by 18. Okay, so I'm gonna punch it down a little bit on the cutting board and I'm gonna roll it out the length and width of the cutting board. I'm also probably going to go over it a little bit, to be honest with you, because this is not quite 12 by 18 and that's what she wants. I cleaned my stove, just have to clean it again. I hate when I do shit like that. Because this was a pain in the ass, I did not film it, but all you need to do is cut up, they say 2 sticks. I used an entire packet of Kerrygold because that's what I have. And you just want to put this down the third, like middle third section. She wants thin slices, so do you. It's important, and I'll tell you from like baking experience, thin's important with croissants because it's what gives you those pockets. It's like nice airy buttery pockets. So yeah, and then just kind of stack them. You don't have to be perfect. If you're OCD and you want to be, have at it. I am not OCD. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to shit like this. It just needs to taste good. And you kind of want to stack them. Like you want overlap. You don't want gaps. Because then it's going to get kind of weird. And I've got the little nibs. I kind of put the little nibs, like the little like end pieces that I've got. I just kind of slap those in the holes. Don't stress out about this. It's just butter. Butter makes everything taste good. Fun fact, I used to be vegan for like 5 years. I cannot tell you if how grateful I am to not be vegan anymore. I used to have a dairy issue. That's why I was vegan. I've been pescatarian my whole like friggin' life basically. But I gave up dairy because I started having like major issues with it. And then I like for over maybe 9 months to a year, I was like testing myself on it because I had noticed, you know, trace amounts would get into something and I wouldn't react. So then I found out I no longer had a dairy allergy, and they say like that kind of stuff can cycle through your system for like 5 to 7 years, so I guess mine did. But yeah, I have not looked back ever since because I love dairy and I don't have any issue with it now. It's kind of amazing. If anything, I actually have way more of an issue with olive oil than I do with butter or dairy, which is why when I cook, you'll never see me cook with olive oil. I don't even buy it. But for some reason, I know it happens at restaurants and stuff, but for some reason, no, it does not go so well. Okay, so then you kind of want to push all the butter together with your hands. Make sure your hands are clean. Just want to kind of get it. Cope. Everybody hanging out together like hippies, be free love. But like way more fun because it's butter and there's no chance of diseases. And then you want to fold over. Like so. So it kind of looks like an envelope. Looks like an envelope that you didn't have the ends done on. So then you're going to roll this out again and you're going to do the fold again. And then we wrap it and put it in the freezer for 20 minutes. If you are working on like a less ideal workspace, something I really recommend is don't be like overly precious about, you know, keeping it on the cutting board. I cleaned my whole stove because I knew I was going to do this. So I cleaned my stove before I did it, knowing if dough hit it, I'd be okay. We talk about a forever house fairly often, and one of the things that I really want is butcher block countertops because I want an entire kitchen full of workspace. I like to spread out. I like to take my time. I feel like it makes it way less stressful for me, so I can just enjoy it and focus on caring and loving and not on like, oh my God, I don't have space. So you'll notice that I've got to kind of rotate this kind of a lot. That's okay. Don't stress out. Again, that's why you cleaned your workspace. You mainly just want to get it all evenly rolled out so it works the same way. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed. Okay, and then same thing, you want the thirds. So we're gonna do this. Then we're gonna do that. And you can kind of see the butter. I'll show you. Do you see the butter in that? Isn't that awesome? I washed my hands again because I just touched that thing. We're gonna wrap it in plastic wrap and we're gonna stick it in the freezer for 20 minutes. This is one of these like longer, more kind of like time consuming, but with like a lot of downtime baking tasks, cooking tasks, anything like that. The nice thing is you can get stuff done while it's resting. So I have been doing a shit ton of gardening research, and it's kind of awesome because you feel just super productive. You know what I mean? Like you've learned a lot. You have made food for your family, which is always a wonderful feeling, especially if you're anything like me. I really love that. It makes me feel like it's a way that I show that I love and care for you. I enjoy cooking for that. That's why I have so much respect for chefs, because the fact that they have so much care for total strangers is like, if that's not a total example of just goodness in people and humanity, I don't know what else is. Like, it's amazing to me. Okay, so I don't have plastic wrap, I have press and seal, so I'm just pressing and sealing. And then I'm gonna stick this in my freezer in my garage because I have more space. And we're basically gonna do the exact same thing in 20 minutes. Okay, so I've changed because I'm tired of my sleeves. This is after the first freeze. I'm gonna wash my hands, we're gonna roll it back out, we're gonna do the envelope again, it's gonna go back into the freezer. So if you're anything like me, I do not like to wait to clean because it just gets overwhelming and I get annoyed. I'm a big fan of multitasking. But with stuff like this, where it's like a phased thing, you do have to kind of leave stuff out. So just kind of suck it up. I tend to leave the room because I get that annoyed. So I always just a little bit of flour just to keep, you really just want enough to keep the rolling pin from sticking. That's it. And don't touch it any more than you have to because you want to keep the butter cold. Cold butter in baking is gold. Basically don't touch anything you don't have to because your body heat's gonna screw it up. I don't have, if you guys notice, I have snowflakes on my rolling pin and it actually leaves a snowflake little marks on my dough. I bought this at Home Goods because I am a Griswold and realized I don't actually have a normal rolling pin, so this is just one that I can't tuck away with the rest of my Christmas stuff. Yeah, and I live in Austin. It's like 85 degrees outside and I got snowflakes on my rolling pin. It's going to be harder to roll out. Not like, it shouldn't be like frustratingly difficult, but it's gonna be a little harder to roll out because it was in the freezer for 20 minutes. So just so you know what you're getting into, it'll do it what it needs to do, but like you're gonna work on it a little bit more than you did the first time. You'll also notice as you're rolling it out that you're breaking out the butter, like, I mean, not like coming out of the dough breaking out, but you're gonna see the little butter pieces. That is a great sign because that means air pockets are gonna be everywhere. You're gonna get that really great croissant texture everywhere. So that is excellent. And again, in case you missed it, this isn't my recipe. I totally stole this off of Half Baked Harvest, but I'm not a novice baker, so I know I have a general idea of what I'm doing. I also am like so tempted to buy the Milk Bar, a couple of cookbooks from Milk Bar because I love Christina Tosi so much, but because it's like quarantine and like everything's hard to find, I just don't really feel like now's the best time to do that because I can't use it, you know what I mean? Like it won't be functional yet and I really hate buying shit and not being able to use it. Like I don't buy cookbooks as coffee table books, if you know what I mean. Like I like getting my hands dirty on this stuff. I still have quite a bit of dough. Here, I'm actually gonna do this. Since I don't have an ideal rolling space, I'm actually gonna roll it in and then back out. So at least the edges are rolled. Tiny bit more flour just to keep it from sticking. Especially with all this butter, you don't want it to stick to the butter. Rolling pin advice. I don't have a ton. Mainly do whatever method drives you the least crazy. So for me, I tend to start, I'm left-handed and I'm very left dominant, so I tend to start in the middle and I tend to have to work on the left side first and then I kind of migrate my way over. You know how that, kind of like age-old advice of start with the hard thing first. I'm so left dominant that I just kind of can't. Like I have to get the left first because it feels so much harder if I start with the right. I kind of need what's that? It's like the immediate win. And if you see your dough lifting or you see your butter flaking or anything like that, just a tiny bit more flour is all you need. Just enough to keep it from sticking. That's it. And then I rotate my work surface because that's what I'm doing right now. If you have butcher block countertops or you got like a really big cutting board, anything that's like huge that you need a lot of space on, if you have that, use it. Like figure that out, use it. I don't have that. So hence I clean my stove. I'm doing this because I need the give. And also, just kind of to show you, it doesn't have to be flawless. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the exact right thing. Baking is way more of a science, way more chemistry and science than cooking is. But I don't like being stressed out. So I am all for showing you ways to help keep your stress level low. Like if you're drinking at 11 in the morning because you're making this, even though it's not my recipe, I feel like I failed you. Okay, so we're gonna do the envelope again. So we do the third. Do this. I'm gonna do a tiny bit of flour over top of this just to absorb the butter. Just to keep it sort of like natural Teflon, just to keep it non-stick. Okay. And you want to wrap it back up and we go stick it back in the freezer for 20 minutes. Okay, so we have like 10, 12 minutes left until the freezer time, 12 minutes and 7 seconds to be exact. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the cinnamon sugar and I'm gonna grease my pans. You can use butter. I'm not going to because I am just a very big fan of how easy that was. So that's done. Move them next to my smart oven because I don't use my real oven because it makes noises I don't like. And then I'm gonna make my cinnamon sugar. All my cinnamon sugar is half a cup of sugar, a tablespoon of cinnamon. I'm gonna modify the hell out of that. And I'll tell you why. I like flavor. I'm a big fan of flavor. So something that matters a great deal to me is dimension and flavor. So I'm gonna do the following things. You want a half a cup of sugar, and they said a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of cinnamon. So a half a cup of sugar. I'm gonna use a combination of coconut sugar and white sugar because it tastes good. Maybe I think that's probably 2/3 to 3/4 full of coconut sugar. And then for my white sugar, just fill it the rest of the way. This, you wanna talk about like things that really piss me off that are pretty specific. Cheap. Like I haven't been able to go to a grocery store in weeks because we're high risk. So I have to send somebody, like I pay somebody to go for me. And this isn't me bitching about him, he's great. But like, just the cheap packaging of paper with that shitty adhesive that like makes it basically break apart. God, that drives me nuts. Okay, so that's my sugar combination. I'm going to dump it like so, and then I'm gonna stir it. I want this kind of evenly distributed. I mean, like don't like stress yourself out about it, but I just want it like mixed up, right? The other thing you can do, if you want, get a little bit more liberal. So if I want to add another couple of spoonfuls, I can. The white sugar is obviously going to be sweeter. The coconut sugar is not going to be as sweet, but it is definitely going to still have some sweetness to it. It's still sugar, but I like the dimension combination. The other thing I'm going to do that it did not call for is some salt. I want a tablespoon of cinnamon. That's definitely more than a tablespoon, but I freaking love cinnamon. I would put cinnamon in anything that's remotely good in, so I don't really care. I like cinnamon roll stuff to be gratuitous with the cinnamon and the glaze and the butter, so I'm always a little bit more liberal with that kind of stuff. Like you're already making the decision to eat this, so like might as well make it worth it, right? And then I need some softened. I've had butter just sitting on my counter now for a while, so it's definitely room temp and soft. There's 2 tablespoons. And the kind of the point of this is you want this to spread all over the dough. So you want to cut the 2 tablespoons, but then you also want to cut it in a way that it's gonna like almost like, you can do a couple different directions with this. Kind of, again, go with whatever stresses you at the least. If it helps you to separate the 2 tablespoons into smaller pieces and then just kind of spread, go for it. If you want to massage, go for it. Do whatever makes you happy. Personally, I tend to cut mine just so I've got like guaranteed range. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that is what makes my little brain happy. So all my prep work's done. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Hello. It's been 5 minutes. Okay, so remove the dough. We're gonna roll it out. Wash your hands. So we're gonna roll it into a rectangle. Tiny bit of flour. Okay, so now we're gonna add butter. And we're just spreading it out. So you kind of see, I don't know if you can, I can't tell with the lighting, I'm a little busy. You can kind of see why I section mine out, because I kind of like knowing that I can just get even distribution and coverage. Because again, if you're gonna eat it, you might as well make it count, right? And then cinnamon sugar. This is where you want to be careful, especially if you have animals and not an ideal workstation. And then you kind of just want to spread and almost like edge. This is where, if you are liberal like I am, you kind of screw yourself. But you know what? Worth it. Okay, so now we roll into a log. And you want to keep it tight. This is also where you're gonna really see why I like working on butcher, like some kind of a wood workstation. Something kind of, not even wood, just something elevated. Because it gives you a little bit of a buffer for when this stuff starts kind of coming out. And by keeping it tight, I mean, just like literally, just, don't get sloppy. Shit. Okay. I'm a little asymmetrical, which means I'm just gonna pull it and try to flatten it out so we look even, because Jesus Christ, you don't want that when it comes to baking. It'll look like shit and it'll bake uneven. So that's where you just get creative and make some executive decisions. If you're not, this is real life, right? This is like, I did not plan for this. I am not Ina Garden, I'm not any of those people. I just like doing this stuff. So, by keeping it tight, you want to kind of roll down the middle like this and keep it really firm. So as you kind of stretch it for evenness, you're not getting it loose and sloppy. All right, so then you want to cut this in half. I like so. And then from there, you want each of these to be 10 to 11 rolls. So, advice is to do notches. That way you can edit. I don't have 10 to 11 notches. My shit's thick. So, whatever. And if you've got a big knife, use it. So I got 7 out of that one. Don't cut your fingers off. You can't go to the emergency room right now. Don't do anything you're gonna regret. This is huge. I definitely could have made this longer. So whatever, we're already done. Live and learn. So you wanna put all this stuff in your bread pans. So I have a baking sheet with bread loaf pans on it. And you're just gonna kind of, I kind of want the seam side down because God help me all, you know what I mean? So I don't have enough to do the whole entire loaf pan. So I'm just gonna get kind of creative. Again, you do not want the stress. And quite frankly, I might actually get all this to fit into one, which might kind of piss me off, but whatever. So I'm just layering. I'll show you when I have clean hands again. I'm layering my dough because A, I didn't cut this stuff right, and B, that's just how it goes sometimes, you know? Don't stress out about it, it's all right. It's just freaking bread. You can make it through a pandemic, you can make it through this. All right, and since this one kind of fell apart, I'm gonna tuck him in over, ooh, that's a good idea. I'm gonna tuck him in like that. All right, so I only got one loaf out of it. Oh well. Oh, I screwed up. I'm supposed to have this thing like, no, I can totally make this fit. Okay, I gotta change my battery, then I gotta do this again, then I gotta let it rise. This be a lesson to, pay more attention. Shit. All right. You want it visible. That's what I've learned. I'm sorry, Half-Baked Harvest. I don't listen. I thought I did, but I don't. I'm like literally re-rolling as I re-space everything. So let this be a lesson. It's okay. You know, no stress, dude. All right, so put that guy in there. Little nugs in here. All right, and I can totally fit maybe like this guy right there. And then spread them out. There we go. Okay, I got 2 loaves. This is what the 2 loaves look like. I've learned, I've listened. Sometimes it takes more than once. Okay, so then I cover and let rise for 15 minutes. Easy. Cover, let rise. See you in 15 minutes. Okay, so it has been about 13 minutes, which, if you're anything like me, is just enough time to do all the dishes and clean your stovetop again. And then I'm gonna brush the loaves with a beaten egg, put them in the oven. Handy dandy little thing here. Nice and glossy. This might suck. We're gonna find out. So this is what I'm looking like right now. If this sucks, it's just bread. I can make it again. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. It gave me something to do today. This is an experiment at best. So it's fine. But I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the oven. I have a convection oven, so I always have to reduce the time to bake. So my advice to you is, you know your kitchen better than I do. Do it, makes sense. And then it goes in for, she said 35 to 40 minutes. Let's find out. They want it to sit for 5 minutes. And then they want to transfer it to a cooling rack. So since it's already almost 2 o'clock, I've started thinking about dinner. I thought, I was kicking around whether I should do like a, what is it, honey garlic shrimp over sweet and salty coconut rice. I'm not really in the mood for that right now. So what I really think I want to do is like a fried rice. And I really wanted to make crab fried rice, but I can't. So I think I'm just gonna make shrimp fried rice. So I'm gonna try to modify that crab fried rice recipe from the, I think it's the second Chrissy Teigen Cravings book. Just like a day of first time recipe trying. It looks amazing. It hasn't risen as much as it did in the picture, but she also, you know, it's a professional food blogger, so like of course hers is perfect. And that was the whole point of this, is I just totally wung it. I didn't even read the directions all the way through. But I wanted this to be realistic because, you know, we're all doing shit we're not used to doing right now. But doesn't that look really good? So hopefully it tastes good. Okay, so I just popped them out. Literally just flipped it over and then pushed it over with a spatula. And that's what we're looking like. It looks amazing. It looks a little crunchy, like on these ends here. That's the piece I'm gonna take. But let's taste test it. So she recommends serving this thing with butter, whether it's like apple butter or pumpkin butter. Personally, there's a lot of butter in that. I wouldn't. It's good as it is. Yeah, I would not add any more fat to that. I mean, it's really good. It's also got different textures in it. So I think it's pretty like fine as it is. You know what I mean? It doesn't need anything. If anything, I would do something to kind of brighten it. So maybe like a tiny bit of like a berry jam or compote or something like that. That's super easy to make. It takes like 5-10 minutes to make that. So maybe that just for like some flavor balance. You know what I mean? Once it's brighter, it's more acidic, it'll cut the fat. I'm not pissed at myself for making it. Would I make it again? I want to see how this sits. And it tastes like as it, you know, cools, I guess, and how it ages. So I'll let you know in like 24 hours. Okay, so you heard me mention earlier that I was gonna do shrimp fried rice instead of crab fried rice. I've decided to do that, but I need to make chili oil first. I need a cup of oil first. All right, I like avocado oil. 1 is highest heat effects. 2 is doesn't disagree with my system. And 3 is neutral tasting. I've got that on. I'm gonna take it, I've got it at medium. I'm gonna take it to like a medium. You want like medium high, but you don't want the flame outside of the container. Just rule of thumb. So I'm gonna keep it at medium just because, you know, I don't wanna burn my house down. And then you want like 2 heaping tablespoons or so of red chili powder, or what the hell is it? Crushed red pepper, red chili flakes, something like that, right? Costco for the win. I've got a half tablespoon right here because I don't feel like looking any further for another one. I want a container to put this in. You want it, this is super important. You want an airtight, leak-proof container. You can keep this in the fridge for like a month. It just has to be in an airtight container. So these are Snapware. They're from Costco. They're made in the United States. I really like them because they're just easy. They're easy, they're durable, they're not super expensive. So I really am a fan of those. I also am a huge fan of things you can see through. I really hate when I can't see through the lid. So for me, that's like a huge thing, right? Everybody's different, but for me, that really matters. So I want to test it. Not quite. I just tested it and we're good to go. So you want 2 heaping tablespoons. I'm using a half a tablespoon. Yes! This is what you want to see. You want that. Okay. You want it on a lower heat. Just reduce. I pretty much got it at low. Because you just want it to get fragrant and you want it to cook for a few minutes. This isn't like, you know, hard. God, this stuff smells so good. This is such a simple thing to make. It's literally 2 ingredients and it takes 5 minutes. But like I think I mentioned this in another vlog, but I cannot tell you how exciting it is for me to make my own oils and spices and like, you know, like infusions and stuff. Like it's sauces, whatever. I've got some ginger scallion sauce still in the fridge from yesterday. I made ginger scallion noodles for dinner last night with like a pan-fried broccoli and a bunch of different spices. But it was delicious. And I'm going to probably infuse that tonight into the rice just because it should only be in the fridge for like 2 days. Oh my God, that stuff smells so good. So you just want this hanging out for a few minutes and then put it in your container, stick it in your fridge for a month. You've got homemade chili oil. And the cool thing about this is the longer you let it sit, the hotter it gets. So if you like spice and heat, you don't have to necessarily dump your entire container of crushed red pepper in it. You can make a couple of different rounds and then just label them with a date. And if you want a spicier one, just don't touch it for 2 weeks. You know, kind of depending on you and how many people you're feeding and how much you made and whatnot. But like for us, we both can take some heat. So this will go in a month. I use this in everything I can get away with it in. So, you know, the resource of it, limitless. Okay, so basically you've heated this up for a few minutes, right? That's essentially all you've done. Now remove it from the heat. Let it chill, like kind of cool. And then you'll want to put it into your container and stick it in the fridge. That's it. Not hard. The next thing I'm going to do is make some rice. You want jasmine rice, and you want about 1 3/4 cup of raw rice. And like 2 1/3 cup of water. So basically you want 1.5 times the water that you have of rice. You don't want to cook this all the way. You want to cook it till about like 2 minutes shy. So this needs to come to a boil, and then they usually want you to cook for like 20 minutes or so. I'm going to cook it to like 17, 18. And then I've got to lay it out on a baking sheet and let it cool. So that's why I'm starting it now, like before I'm actually cooking dinner, because it needs to cool. All right, so It is 4:17. I've got about 5.5 minutes before my rice is a little shy from al dente, but I've got a baking sheet right here. So once it's done, I'm gonna put it on that to let it cool. I'm gonna go ahead and start thawing out my shrimp though. I've got some frozen 16 to 20 count shrimp that I'm gonna go ahead and start thawing out, mainly just because, you know, it's something that can be working while I'm doing other stuff. And also because I've done a really good job of cleaning up after myself, and I know once I get tired, I'm not gonna wanna do dishes. So kind of, you know, when you can pace it like this, might as well. And that's basically my entire logic for it. Yeah, so I'm gonna get that thawing, and then once I actually start prepping like vegetables and stuff, I'll check back in. Okay, so it's going on 5 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and start prepping. Let's get some bowls out. So we have homes for everything. All right, so the recipe is calling for, I think, 6 cloves of garlic. Is that right? Yes, 6 cloves of garlic. Pretty simple. If you are unfamiliar with how to like do this, I don't really think I'm the best person to teach you, but I'll show you what I do. Get a big ass knife, like get one of these real good ones, like a chef's knife for your version of a chef's knife. And if you have the bigger guys, you're not always gonna get a good mash the first time, but that's okay. It's enough to get the kind of protective, I call it its clothes off. I know that's not the right term, but it gets the point across. And then you just kind of smash it, and that'll make it easier to mince. Like, perfect. Okay. So rinse the water. I don't like, you know when you're thawing out shrimp and they tell you just have like running water going? I really hate that. Like the environmental component to me is like, you know what I mean? So I just kind of change the water out every so often, so it actually does thaw. I feel like that's better. So that's kind of where we are on the shrimp, just so you know. These are like big ass cloves of garlic. Okay. All right, so we mince. All mincing is very, very fine chopping. Don't cut your fingers. I'm not going to teach you knife skills. I don't have any. I just know not to hurt myself. That's my knife skill. However long it takes you is however long it takes you. Don't, like, this is where I tell people, take your time with cooking. I'm not a freaking chef. I'm a home cook, but I enjoy cooking. And my advice is take your time. If a tool helps you, use the tool. You know what? In fact, I'll give you an example. This is a chopper, just a handheld mini chopper. I'm gonna take the clove of garlic that I just kind of roughly minced, and then the other cloves. I'm going to dump them in to the little caddy, like so. You shove this guy in here, and you just beat the shit out of it, like this. So if that makes your life easier, this thing is very inexpensive and can be found a million places. Check it out. Green onion. Not like super fine, but you know, like the decorative kind of chop. Just enough to where you get a ton of flavor, you've got enough for like the kind of garnish, and you don't hate yourself. So that will go in this bowl. I know that this, wait, shit. Sorry, now you can see. So I just literally put the bowl underneath the cutting board and sweep. It's my very pro tip. 3 eggs lightly beaten. 3. Lightly whisked means use a fork. Or lightly beaten means use a fork. Pierce the yolk, and then just kind of do this, but no stress, right? There you go. That's it. You're done. So since the recipe is like crab fried rice and I'm using shrimp, I do need to cook the shrimp. So the recipe will obviously be modified accordingly. But let's go ahead and get this party started. Oh wait, one more thing I need to do. I need to get this guy done. You want this cut into wedges and seeded. So cut it directly through the core. This is actually a really nice tomato to seed because you still have a ton of the good stuff. Sorry, I'm not paying enough attention. Okay, and then just take kind of the guts out of the tomato. That's it. Throw that shit in your to-plant or compost pile. You also can throw in your eggshells and like your scraps and stuff, like your food scraps. That's exactly what compost is. Okay, that's done. All right, so let's go. I have a kind of like a deeper wide pan with a lip and a handle. This thing is awesome. This is from Costco. Highly recommend. So I'm gonna turn this thing on medium to high, and I want peanut oil. You want a quarter cup. Quarter cup. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna reduce this because that is a little active. Throw in some onion. Let it go to work. I'm also gonna add the garlic. Okay, so then we're gonna give it like a little, I'm gonna add some salt at this point. And some pepper. I'm liberal with my black pepper. Okay, so what I was trying to say. Go ahead and like take the tails off your shrimp if you want your tails off. I like to go ahead and take them off so it's like, you know, once you're eating, you don't have to like do any more work. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna add the shrimp. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of babysit this a little bit, and then I'll toss the eggs in when I feel like the shrimp is, you know, making headway. This is what we're looking like. All right, eggs. So now I want to start tossing everything together. I'm going to turn the heat to medium. So this is what we're looking like as of right now. Now we're just dumping in the rice. The rice is like really good and sticky, which is great. That's what you want. That's kind of the point of the pan. You want to mix everything together. Okay, and this is where you start to season to taste, right? So I'm gonna add some salt, pepper. There's gonna be chili oil on this, don't forget. So don't like go nuts with a ton of heat. This is some togorashi. It's a Japanese like spice blend. It's a little bit more woken up now. All right, so now add tomato. I'm actually gonna put a little bit of that ginger scallion oil in here. This is not what the recipe's telling me to do. This is just me being me. That's bomb. Take it down low. Take your chili oil out of the fridge. And then just kind of keep stirring. It's on low. You're not going to kill anything, but like you also don't want to overcook anything either. So this is what we're looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and plate it, and then I'll let you know. I'm not like entirely certain what the heat index on this entire dish is going to be. So that one in the back is mine because it's got all the tomatoes in it. He doesn't like tomatoes unless it's tomato sauce. And that's his. So there we go. This is shrimp fried rice. Yeah, it's ready. You timed that shit perfect. So I need you to taste this because I made chili oil and I want to make sure I don't kill you.